From the dazzling avenues of Beijing and Shanghai to the dusty village roads of Hunan, a chilling silence blankets China. Once bustling shopping centers now stand eerily empty, resembling ghost cities. Huaqiangbei Street in Shenzhen and Second Road in Changzhou are nearly deserted. Xinmishan village has turned into a ghost village, with abandoned homes still filled with belongings, as if the people vanished overnight. Even millions of beggars have suddenly disappeared. The question echoes in the minds of millions. Where has everyone gone? This is not just a social phenomenon, it's a sign of economic, social, and political crisis, pushing people to the brink of despair. The era of the world's factory is collapsing, and millions, from factory workers to PhD graduates, are now scraping by as street vendors. Many survive under bridges, on the streets, known as the Sanhe Masters. The Chinese Communist Party, CCP, boasts of 1.4 billion people, but whispers on TikTok, Douyin, and X suggest the population might only be 700 and 6,900 million. People speak of sudden disappearances, going for a walk, going to sleep, and then gone. Is it due to the pandemic, economic downturn, or a dark secret the CCP is hiding? And why did Trump reveal Xi Jinping's chilling words, "China needs 4 billion people to dominate the world"? What's really happening behind this haunting silence? The truth might be more shocking than you think. The population mystery. Why are people disappearing? The pandemic that never ended. One major driver of China's vanishing population is the lingering impact of COVID-19, compounded by a new wave of disease in 2025. Douyin bloggers like Li Jianjun reveal a disturbing rise in sudden deaths from cardiovascular and cerebrovascular issues, affecting everyone from 20-year-olds to 60-year-olds. Walking in the park, they're gone. Playing cards, they're gone. Sleeping, they're gone, Li said in a May 14, 2025 video. Netizens from Shanghai, Shandong, and Henan report, "Last week 3 people died in Xi'an. My workplace had 108 people. 23 have died in recent years, all born in the 80s and 90s. According to China's Center for Disease Control and Prevention, from mid-April to mid-May 2025, COVID-19 positivity rates in outpatient clinics doubled from 7.5% to 16.2%, and severe respiratory infections rose from 3.3% to 6.3%. Yet many believe these numbers are underreported. A Hebei resident claimed, "They've stopped cremating bodies because there are too many. Now they're buried directly." Cemeteries are dotted with children's headstones, and hospitals in many cities are overwhelmed. A new wave of illness, marked by prolonged colds, diarrhea, and fatigue, has left people living in fear, avoiding public spaces and contributing to the deserted streets. Economic collapse drives urban migration. Economic decline is another key factor hollowing out China's cities. Beijing's Bureau of Statistics reported a 9.9% drop in retail sales for March 2025 compared to the previous year, with dining revenue down 3.1%. And overall retail falling 3.2% from January to March. In Changzhou, business owners say wholesale market sales have halved, with inventory piling up. A local blogger lamented, "A city of 13 million, yet the subway station at 9:55 p.m. is empty. Where are the customers?" Skyrocketing living costs in megacities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen have forced migrant workers to return to their hometowns or relocate to smaller cities. A Beijing resident, Mr. Qian, told Radio Free Asia, "Beijing used to be packed. Now many places are closed, deserted, and landlords can't find tenants. But rural areas offer no refuge. Videos from Hunan and northeastern China show abandoned villages with empty homes and only a few elderly residents left." A blogger described, "Ximingshan village is huge, but all you hear is birdsong. It feels like the end of the world." 3. The CCP's cover-up and the real population decline. Doubts about the CCP's official population figures are growing. A TikTok user, citing police system data, claimed China's registered population is only around 760 million, while NetEase reported 770 million citizens with ID cards. Newborn registrations in 2025 totaled 8.9 million, 1.7 million less than the National Bureau of Statistics figures. The AI model Grok 3 estimates China's population dropped by 152 million from 2020 to 2023, and commentator Shang Tian asserted, "The CCP fakes data to hide the truth." This decline stems not only from the pandemic but also from plunging birth rates and emigration. Marriage and childbirth rates have plummeted, with many young people embracing lying flat, abandoning ambition for a minimalist life. A Shanghai netizen commented, "No one's getting married, having kids, or buying homes. People woke up overnight." The CCP is believed to be concealing the scale of the population drop to prevent social unrest, but the emptiness of streets and villages is exposing the reality. A multidimensional crisis: social, economic, political. Social breakdown, a people in misery. The vanishing population mirrors a society in tatters. In Shenzhen, the Sanhan masters, homeless day laborers living near the Sanhan talent market, have become a symbol of despair. They sleep under bridges, in flower beds, or in cheap hostels costing 425 yuan, surviving on 5 yuan meals and 1 yuan cigarettes. Xiao Jianghuang, a young man from Chongqing, said, "Sanhan masters are a product of the wealth gap. They have no other choice." Beggars, once ubiquitous, have disappeared, not due to aid but because authorities have driven them away to maintain an image of prosperity. The CCP claims it spent 250 billion yuan in 2023 to help the poor, yet 2.5 million homeless people received nothing. A Guangzhou blogger described under bridges countless people live in makeshift tents, day laborers, delivery workers, even college students. A pervasive loss of trust has taken hold, with a Beijing netizen sharing, "I cut my food budget from 100 to 30 yuan. I no longer believe in spending." Economic collapse. From real estate to banking. China's real estate market is on the verge of collapse, dragging down entire industries. A woman from Yanzhou, Beijing, shared on X that she bought a 100-square-meter home in 2018 for 3 million yuan. By 2022, after she and her husband lost their jobs, the home's value fell to 1.7 million. Foreclosed and auctioned for just 1.2 million, they lost 2.1 million yuan, and still owe the bank 100,000 yuan. "We're banned from loans, high-speed trains, and worry about our kids' future," she said. In Daqing, real estate prices dropped from $2,000.00 to $1,375.00 per square meter, yet buyers are scarce. In Beijing, homes sit on the market for an average of 189 days, with 30% of listings in Chaoyang district unsold after 6 months. Economist Li Hengqing warned, "The real estate collapse is the first domino. It impacts 47 industries, especially finance. Over 4,000 Chinese banks have funds tied up in real estate, with giants like Country Garden, Evergrande, and Sunac China bankrupt." Systemic financial risk has become systemic financial collapse, Li emphasized. Street vending has exploded as a temporary escape, but it's contentious. Stalls clog sidewalks, snarl traffic, and squeeze out small restaurants. A Hefei blogger recounted a woman unfairly treated by local officials who placed trash bins to block her stall, despite her paying a 300 yuan fee. Urban management is like barnacles. Once they latch on, you're stuck, a netizen complained. Political turmoil. Xi Jinping's waning power and the CCP's fragility. The silence on China's streets reflects political storms brewing in Zhongnanhai. Xi Jinping's absence during the April 21, 22, 2025 visit by Indonesia's defense and foreign ministers sparked speculation. Commentator Chen Pokong suggested 2 possibilities. Xi fell ill after a failed Southeast Asia tour, or he's been sidelined, possibly under house arrest. Since last year's 3rd plenum, Xi has shown signs of retreating to the second line. Military and personnel power are no longer his, Chen said. Personnel shifts bolstered this theory. Hu Jintao's ally, Chen Shi, took over the party's organization department, while Xi's confidant, Li Ganji, was reassigned. Trade negotiator Wang Shouwen was replaced by Li Qiang, tied to Li Keqiang's faction. Scholar Sheng Mingxi noted, Zhang Yuxia's meeting with Indonesia's minister signaled that military power lies with him, not Xi. Commentator Tang Jingyuan shared a story from Yuan Hongbing, claiming Xi once drunkenly declared, "China needs 4 billion people to rule the world." This mindset, paired with regressive policies, has led to his downfall. Xi's military allies like Miao Hua and Hua Weidong are under investigation, and power seems to rest with elders like Hu Jintao, Wen Jiabao, and Hua Ping. Xi played a strong but terrible hand, leading to this mess, Tang concluded. Many predict Xi may resign at the fourth plenum, signaling the CCP's collapse. The people's suffering, a society unraveling. China's people are enduring silent agony. In cities, families like the Yanzhou couple lose homes, face travel bans, and fear for their children's futures. In rural areas, the elderly are left alone in ghost villages, living in isolation amid empty homes. A Hunan blogger described a clean room, a tidy bed, but the door wide open. White couplets signal a funeral. Unemployment, estimated at over 50%, has pushed even masters and PhD holders into street vending. A Wuhan worker said, "I earn 180 yuan a day, but rent eats it up. Breakfast is 2 yuan. The lying flat mentality has spread, with youth abandoning dreams to scrape by." A Shanghai netizen lamented, "Streets full of aimless youth, offices full of middle-aged workers barely surviving. We don't buy anything non-essential." Natural disasters worsen the pain. Floods in Taixi Township, Xinjiang on July 15, 2025 swept away homes, while muddy handprints in Baoji's Emerald City parking garage testify to residents' desperation. Authorities locked emergency exits to prevent theft, but Li Hengqing called this futile against a real estate market far exceeding actual demand. China on the brink of collapse. The deadly silence blanketing China is more than empty streets or ghost villages. It's a death knell for a crumbling system. Economic collapse, social decay, and political instability have caused millions to vanish through death, emigration, or withdrawal from public life. As Xi Jinping's power wanes, the CCP's cover-ups unravel, leaving the Chinese people to bear the cost of broken dreams and an uncertain future. Share your thoughts in the comments. If this story moves you, spread it to friends and colleagues. The truth must be exposed, and your voice is the power to drive change. Stay tuned for our next report as we continue to unravel China's mysteries.
Mainland China faces a new wave of new variant infections as hospitals continue to be overwhelmed. The epidemic in mainland China is becoming more complicated, with many new variants of COVID-19 spreading in the country. Recently, some Chinese Communist Party officials have also admitted that the epidemic caused by the new coronavirus strain has broken out again in many places. Hospitals are overcrowded, and epidemic prevention drugs are in high demand in many areas in the south. People revealed that this virus is very powerful, and many young people have passed away suddenly. Many people suddenly collapsed and passed away while walking, and some never woke up after going to sleep, even though they were still very young. At the same time, the number of people who passed away from the new coronavirus in Hong Kong has increased tenfold compared with 2 months ago. Meanwhile, neighboring countries of China in Southeast Asia, such as Thailand and Singapore, have recorded a high number of people infected with the new variant, with dozens passing away every day. Chinese blogger. Recently, many people have found that there are more people coughing and with fever around them, and the new coronavirus has quietly risen again. On May 16th, the topic of the new coronavirus infection is rising again in mainland China became a hot search on the internet. According to Li Dongzheng, chief physician of the Department of Infection Comprehensive Department of Beijing Yuan Hospital, affiliated with Capital Medical University, the number of outpatient visits and the positive rate of the new coronavirus have begun to increase since March. Many mainland people have posted videos saying that this wave of the virus is very powerful, and many people have symptoms such as fever, cold, sore throat, cough, etc., and the hospital is full again. Mainland Chinese. I've been infected with the coronavirus again. Oh my God, my throat hurts, my nose is stuffy, I have a runny nose, and I cough. I feel like I can cough out my lungs with every cough. And today, my sense of taste and smell has decreased. I clearly feel that this coronavirus strain is very strong, so everyone should be careful. The Chaoyang District Center for Disease Control and Prevention in Beijing reported on May 12 that the current coronavirus activity in Chaoyang District is on the rise. Data released by the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention on the 8th showed that within 5 weeks, from March 31st to May 4th, the national outpatient coronavirus positive rate rose from 7.5% to 16.2%. Among hospitalized severe respiratory cases, the coronavirus positive rate rose from 3.3% to 6.3%. The coronavirus positive rate in southern China is higher than in the north. The real data is unknown. In addition, the authorities still have not announced the number of confirmed cases or people who passed away. Dr. Lin Xiaoxu, an American virology expert, this data from the CDC can be said to have not told the public the very important extent of the current COVID-19 outbreak, but only mentioned a so-called increase in infection rate and detection rate. This detection rate has not been explained here. For example, whether the detection rate of the new coronavirus has increased by 16% among the 3 viruses, or whether the detection of 10 respiratory viruses has increased to 16%, etc. Too much information has been omitted, so this is a very serious information concealment and misleading. According to the Hong Kong Health Department's report on the 15th in early April, Hong Kong recorded another 30 people who passed away from the new coronavirus in the past 4 weeks, which is 10 times that of February. In addition, people in many places in the mainland told NTD that recently, the epidemic in China has been raging, many young people have passed away suddenly, crematoriums and cemeteries have been expanded, and some rural cemeteries are saturated. The authorities are continuing to conceal the truth. Mr. An, a citizen of Shenzhen, there are many sudden deaths now of all ages, but more young people. I have seen several young people in their 20s and 30s who were not sick or had no symptoms, but suddenly collapsed. Ms. Zhang from Yuxi, Yunnan. The price of buying a cemetery has increased by several thousand yuan, tens of thousands of yuan. The number of people who passed away in recent years has increased compared to before the epidemic. The official said it was influenza A and then some virus infection. Anyway, they changed the name to fool the people. China's real estate crisis continues. China Fortune Land Development defaults on 23 billion yuan of debt. Amid the prolonged downturn in China's real estate sector, the debt crisis facing property developers has deepened. Among them, China Fortune Land Development recently announced that it has defaulted on 23 billion yuan in debt. Rongsheng Development is also mired in financial trouble, with more than 1.1 billion yuan in unpaid liabilities and multiple lawsuits looming. China Fortune Land Development, 192.2 billion yuan in debt restructured, over 23 billion yuan still in default, according to the Debt Restructuring Progress Report released by China Fortune Land Development Konadish Limited. On the evening of May 16th, as of April 30, 2025, the company had restructured 192.2 billion yuan in debt, over 23 billion yuan still in default, about 192.273 billion yuan out of its total 219.2 billion yuan in financial debt under the debt restructuring plan, covering both domestic and foreign bonds as well as various financing instruments. However, despite this significant progress, China Fortune Land Development still faces massive unresolved debt. As of that date, the cumulative amount in default stood at 23.03 billion yuan, excluding interest, underscoring the immense pressure the company faces in debt repayment. In terms of cash flow, China Fortune Land Development and its subsidiaries added 350 million yuan in overdue debt in April, highlighting ongoing liquidity stress. Furthermore, several new arbitration and litigation cases totaling 1.419 billion yuan in claims have added further uncertainty to its future operations. The financial data paints a grim picture. The company reported a net loss attributable to the parent company of 4.817 billion yuan in 2024 and a further loss of 2.701 billion yuan in the first quarter of 2025. Losses are deepening, and a near-term recovery in profitability appears unlikely. In the current real estate climate, marked by high leverage risks, declining demand, and tightening regulatory oversight, China Fortune Land Development has made efforts to save itself. However, the likelihood of regaining profitability in the short term remains very slim. Resurging Development is in a quagmire, 1.1 billion yuan in new debts and over 1.3 billion yuan in lawsuits. China Fortune Land Development is not alone. The mounting debt crisis in China's property sector continues to spread. Another developer, Resurging Development, also revealed its precarious financial position on May 16th. The announcement disclosed that Resurging's newly due unpaid debts totaled 1.105 billion yuan, including 665 million yuan in principal and interest on medium-term notes. On the legal front, Resurging Development is involved in two major lawsuits with Langfang Bank, with total claims exceeding 200 million yuan. Additionally, the company is facing numerous other legal disputes, with a total amount of 1.333 billion yuan involved, equivalent to nearly 9% of its net assets. The fact that shareholders' pledged shares were auctioned off by the court, with some failing to sell, further reflects investors' lack of confidence in the company's future. According to its financial report, Resurging Development posted a net loss attributable to the parent company of approximately 8.444 billion yuan in 2024, representing a year-on-year surge of 2,293.07%. The net loss after deducting non-recurring gains and losses reached around 8.049 billion yuan, a staggering year-on-year increase of 2,622.1%. Sales of top 100 real estate companies fell 9.8% in the first quarter and 30.6% last year. Data previously released by China Index Academy showed that in the first quarter of this year, total sales of China's top 100 real estate companies dropped by 9.8% year-on-year. Sales in 2024 declined by 30.6% compared to the previous year. Among them, sales of the sales champion Poly Development fell by 23.5%, and its net profit attributable to the parent company plunged by 58.43% year-on-year. In recent years, China's economic growth has slowed, real estate demand has contracted, and regulatory controls have tightened. The pressure to ensure housing delivery has left developers grappling with capital shortages and growing default risks. The sheer number of creditors, complex debt structures, and difficulties in asset disposal have all contributed to the increasingly low success rate of restructuring efforts.
Severe drought in many provinces of China. Henan farmers harvest wheat early due to water shortage. Since the beginning of this year, China has been hit by the most devastating drought in nearly 60 years, affecting multiple provinces. Wheat fields that should be bursting with grain are now parched and withered, with early ripening caused by a crippling lack of water. In Henan, the heart of China's wheat production, desperate farmers are harvesting early in a last-ditch effort to reduce their losses. Online, grief and outrage are spreading fast, with netizens sharing the drought in their hometowns and slamming the government's sloppy and ineffective well drilling projects. Henan Province, China's largest wheat-growing region, has been battling a brutal drought since April. With no relief in sight, vast swaths of farmland have cracked under the relentless dry spell. In early May, typically the crucial grain-filling season, wheat stalks across Henan looked more like dry weeds, their ears shriveled and lifeless. At a press conference on May 12th, Henan officials admitted that 40% of the province's counties and cities are suffering from severe meteorological drought. The disaster now stretches across most of western, central, and northern Henan and parts of the east and southwest. The result? Wheat crops are maturing prematurely, forcing early harvesting across the region. Ms. Wang, a villager from Zhangzhuang in Yiyang County, Luoyang, told mainland media on May 15th that her family's 30-acre farm could only be irrigated using self-funded pumps. The cost? Around 20 yuan per hour for water and electricity. She recently spent over 1,000 yuan just to water a portion of their land. Still, the wheat barely grew past 20 centimeters, dried out and yellowed. Some plants didn't even grow ears, a chilling sight. There's no harvest at all, Ms. Wang said. We paid for seeds, fertilizer, machines. It's like losing everything. And if we don't harvest now, we can't plant corn next month. Jiang Long, a farmer from Taikang County in Zhoukou City, echoed the despair. Last year's drought was bad, but this year, he says, is even worse. Since February, there have only been a few light rains. Too little to make a difference. To save their crops, villagers are laying pipes and using river water with makeshift irrigation systems. Now is the last grain-filling window. Everyone is doing whatever they can to keep the wheat alive, Zhang said. But the crisis isn't confined to Henan. Hebei, Shandong, Shanxi, Hubei, Anhui, Guangxi, and more have also endured 6 months of punishing drought. These are all key wheat-producing regions, and the timing couldn't be worse. Water is critically low during the wheat's flowering and grain-filling stages. Experts predict a major drop in wheat output this year. In Guangxi, the situation is extreme. Since last October, a rare drought has gripped the region through autumn, winter, and spring. As of now, 97.5% of the area is drought-affected, with 68.7% classified as extreme drought. According to media reports, 11 cities and 52 counties in Guangxi have been hit. Economic losses are estimated at 210 million yuan. Over 83,000 people are facing drinking water shortages, something not seen in decades. Across Huanghai and Jiangnan, farmland is failing, and farmers are flooding social media with cries for help. On Chinese platforms, the drought has gone viral. A netizen from Yunnan wrote, "Looks like it's going to be a dry year. It used to rain here, but not anymore." From Hunan, "I heard reservoir water is being diverted to generate electricity, leaving rice fields bone dry. No water for plowing even now." And from Guangxi, "We used to get reservoir water through canals, but there hasn't been a drought like this in 70 years. Some reservoirs are bone dry."
Unveiling that China has one big slogan, false glory or harsh reality. 1. A mirage of triumph when victory is just a chant. Across social media platforms like Weibo, Douyin, and WeChat, the phrase, "China has won big," resonates as a powerful slogan, reverberating through patriotic influencer videos, posts showcasing gleaming high-speed rail networks, and headlines touting Huawei's technological leaps. These narratives sweep viewers into a fervor, convincing them that China stands unrivaled at the world's pinnacle, leaving the United States and the West scrambling in its wake. But is this truly a triumph, or merely a carefully crafted emotional facade, masking profound fractures in the nation's economy, society, and technological landscape? This slogan is far more than a catchy phrase. It's a psychological instrument, wielded by those who dominate media narratives to ignite national pride, lulling citizens into overlooking the escalating challenges of everyday life. Picture yourself scrolling through Douyin, stumbling upon a video adorned with a fluttering national flag. An influencer, voice brimming with conviction, proclaims that America has crumbled and China reigns supreme. The comment section erupts with clapping emojis and fervent cries of, "We've won!" But when you close the app and glance at your finances, what greets you? An unrelenting mortgage, a paycheck stretched thin by rising costs, or a future shrouded in uncertainty. That's the moment you begin to question, who is truly winning big? In truth, this slogan isn't a reflection of reality, but a deliberate diversion. It fixates people on recycled tales of victory splashed across social media, while pressing issues, unemployment, crippling debt, and growing inequality are swept under the rug. A closer look at China's economic fabric reveals stark vulnerabilities. Manufacturing is contracting, foreign companies are fleeing, and ordinary citizens are buckling under intensifying financial pressures. Let's dive into the economy, where raw numbers cut through the haze of propaganda, though they can be manipulated to serve it. In April 2025, China's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, languished at 49.4, marking 6 consecutive months below the critical 50 threshold that separates growth from decline. A PMI under 50 signals shrinking new orders, dwindling industrial output, and evaporating manufacturing jobs. In contrast, the United States posted a PMI of 51.8, Japan 52.5, and Vietnam 51.2, all signaling robust growth. China's persistent decline isn't a mere statistic, it's a red flag that an industry once the nation's backbone is faltering. Yet, social media brims with claims that orders are flooding back and the West can't compete. The reality? Those orders aren't returning to China. They're flowing to India, Vietnam, and other Southeast Asian nations. A Nikkei Asia report disclosed that by the first quarter of 2025, over 356 foreign manufacturing firms had shuttered their Chinese operations, with 47% redirecting investments to India. This exodus is part of the China Plus One strategy, where global corporations diversify supply chains to mitigate geopolitical risks and lower production costs. The departure of these factories doesn't just slash jobs, it drags down ancillary sectors like logistics, transportation, and local services. Industrial zones that once buzzed with activity now teeter on the brink of becoming ghost towns, their vibrancy replaced by eerie silence. Imagine a factory worker in Guangdong, once proud to produce goods for a global brand. One morning, he's handed a notice. The plant is closing, and production is shifting to Vietnam. Jobless, without transferable skills, he faces the daunting task of supporting his family. Meanwhile, a Douyin influencer, standing before a backdrop of cranes and cargo ships, extols China's manufacturing dominance. This worker's plight remains untold, yet it mirrors the reality for millions. These laborers were the heart of the world's factory, but as global supply chains pivot, they are abandoned, their contributions erased from the narrative of national glory. Exports, long the engine of China's economic miracle, are also stuttering. According to the General Administration of Customs, total exports dropped 2.4% in Q1 2025, with shipments to Europe and the US plummeting 8.6%. Exports to Russia climbed 12.9%, and to Xi'an 3.1%, which might seem encouraging, but a deeper look paints a bleaker picture. Exports to Russia are dominated by low-end electronics and industrial components, while those to Africa consist of plastic toys, cheap footwear, and disposable goods. Falling export prices have crushed profit margins, forcing businesses into a cutthroat race to offer the lowest bids. China is sustaining its export volume by selling goods at rock-bottom prices, a strategy that prioritizes survival over prosperity. This isn't a victory, it's a desperate scramble to stay afloat in a shrinking market. Take a shoe factory in Fujian as an example. Once, it supplied premium sneakers to American brands, reaping substantial profits. But as orders migrated to Indonesia, it pivoted to churning out low-cost shoes for African markets. Profits evaporated, workers' wages were slashed, and the factory operates on a shoestring, its machinery humming only sporadically. Yet, social media heralds soaring exports, ignoring the grim reality. This factory's struggle reflects an economy surviving by undercutting itself. where businesses sacrifice long-term viability for short-term existence. The workers, many supporting families, bear the brunt, their livelihoods tethered to an industry forced to compete on price rather than quality. Meanwhile, state-owned banks boasted a 9.3% profit surge in 2024, but small and medium enterprises faced a record 7.6% loan default rate. Policies favoring state conglomerates, such as guaranteeing real estate ventures or funding massive infrastructure projects, have starved the private sector of financial oxygen. Ordinary citizens feel the squeeze too. Savings interest rates are kept artificially low, while living expenses like electricity, gas, and healthcare skyrocket. State-backed real estate projects receive priority bailouts, leaving buyers of private developments stranded, their investments reduced to empty promises. The middle class, once hailed as the catalyst for China's economic ascent, is now suffocating under debt. Approximately 200 million middle-class citizens grapple with mortgages, many earning less than their monthly interest payments. Living costs are spiraling, particularly for rent, education, and medical care, while incomes remain stagnant. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics reveals that in Q1 2025, the Consumer Price Index rose 0.3%, but price increases hit essentials, housing, school fees, hospital bills, while food prices like pork and vegetables dipped. People don't feel wealthier. They're forced to spend more on unavoidable necessities. Their budgets stretch to the breaking point. Consider a middle-class family in Shanghai. The father, a tech worker, clocks 12-hour days, but his salary barely covers rent and private school fees for their child. The mother takes on part-time gigs to afford medical care for elderly parents. They once envisioned a life of comfort, perhaps a second home or family vacations. Now, each month is a grueling fight to avoid financial ruin, their dreams replaced by the relentless pressure of bills. Meanwhile, state media trumpets national prosperity, a narrative that feels alien to them. This family's story echoes across millions of households, urban dwellers who inhabit modern cities but live on the edge of economic collapse. They navigate skyscraper-lined streets, yet their lives resemble an unending marathon, each step weighed down by financial strain. The economic reality starkly contrasts the winning big rhetoric. Factories are shuttering, jobs are vanishing, and the middle class is sinking under debt's weight. The stories of workers, small business owners, and families struggling to survive are drowned out by patriotic slogans. This isn't a nation basking in triumph. It's a society wrestling with systemic challenges that propaganda can't conceal. The gap between the gleaming image of progress and the gritty reality of daily life grows wider, leaving millions questioning whether the victory they're told to celebrate exists at all. 2. Technology and society. Shattered dreams under the spotlight. In the realm of technology, headlines scream of breakthroughs, domestic lithography machines unveiled, Huawei conquers 5N barriers, or China's chip fund powers up. These stories flood social media, fostering the belief that China is on the verge of surpassing the US and Taiwan to dominate the semiconductor industry. Shared at lightning speed, they convince citizens that their nation is ascending to tech superpower status. But the truth is far grimmer, a sobering counterpoint to the hype. The extreme ultraviolet lithography (EUV) machine, indispensable for producing cutting-edge chips, is manufactured exclusively by ASML in the Netherlands. Despite pouring billions into research, China remains unable to replicate this technology. Chip design software, ADA, and other critical components are also controlled by Western companies. In 2024, China's chip imports totaled $34.90 billion, surpassing its oil imports, a staggering figure that underscores its dependence on global supply chains. Even touted advances like Huawei's Xi'an chip relied on foreign technology integrated before U.S. sanctions tightened. These aren't leaps forward, they're stopgap measures in a race where China trails. Imagine a young engineer at a Shenzhen semiconductor firm, his chest swelling with pride as he reads about China's tech triumphs. But, at work, he sees the truth. His company imports Dutch equipment and American software. When sanctions disrupt supply chains, production grinds to a halt and layoffs loom. On Weibo, influencers still laud China's tech supremacy, but he's preoccupied with how to pay rent. His story embodies the semiconductor industry's reality, where the dream of self-reliance remains elusive. Once, he believed he'd help propel China to global tech dominance. Now, he's just trying to hold onto his job in an industry tethered to foreign innovation. Corruption compounds these challenges. The National Integrated Circuit Industry Investment Fund, established to bolster semiconductors, was shaken by scandals in 2024, with 6 top executives investigated. Such incidents erode confidence in major tech initiatives and expose systemic opacity. Meanwhile, Taiwan's TSMC and South Korea's Samsung forge ahead with 3nm and 2M chips, while China struggles with 7M process. This isn't a breakthrough, it's a grueling chase under unfavorable conditions, hampered by internal mismanagement and external barriers. Beyond technology, Chinese society grapples with profound crises, particularly among its youth, the generation meant to shape the nation's future. The government no longer publishes unemployment rates for those aged 16-24, but a Tsinghua University report revealed that only 47.3% of 2024 graduates secured jobs, with humanities fields dipping below 40%. The phrases, bachelor's degree holders delivering food and master's graduates unemployed, have shifted from rare anecdotes to troubling norms, reflecting a labor market unable to absorb its educated youth. In 2025, a record 12.22 million college graduates flooded the job market, but high-quality positions were short by 2-3 million. Many young people have turned to full-time children, relying on parental support or slow employment, postponing job hunts due to scarce opportunities. These terms signal more than personal despair. They warn of a generation losing faith in the future. Picture a graduate from a prestigious Beijing university, her sights set on a media career. After 6 months of rejected applications, she takes a job as a delivery courier, her diploma gathering dust. On Douyin, influencers proclaim China's endless opportunities, a message that rings hollow. Her experience mirrors that of millions of young people who feel discarded by a system that promised them a bright future but delivered uncertainty. Economic inequality deepens this crisis. In 2024, over 60% of individuals with assets exceeding 10 million RMB transferred wealth abroad, investing in markets like the UK, Singapore, and Japan. Tycoons like Li Ka-shing moved fortunes overseas, while manufacturers in Fujian and Guangdong built new factories in Vietnam and Indonesia. Even Shenzhen's real estate speculators have shifted to buying suburban land. This mass exodus of wealth signals a lack of faith in the winning big narrative, even among the elite who've profited most from China's rise. Consider a Guangzhou entrepreneur who built a thriving business producing electronic components. As orders dwindled, he relocated his factory to Vietnam, lured by lower costs and generous incentives. He also funneled assets to Singapore to secure his family's future. Back in China, his workers were left jobless, forced to scrape by with low-wage urban jobs. This tale underscores a stark divide. The wealthy can escape, while ordinary citizens are anchored to a landscape of diminishing opportunities. The entrepreneur's decision wasn't just business. It was a vote of no confidence in the system that propaganda claims is thriving. Ordinary people face relentless financial pressures. A single surgery can bankrupt an urban family, a mortgage can chain them to decades of debt, and raising a child feels like an economic earthquake for many households. While state-owned banks flaunt profit spikes, small businesses collapse, and workers lose livelihoods. This is a society where victory enriches a select few, while the majority bear the cost. Imagine a single mother in Hangzhou, scraping by as a retail clerk. She supports her young child and aging parents, but her income barely covers rent and medical expenses. When her child falls gravely ill, she borrows heavily to cover hospital bills, plunging into debt. Meanwhile, news broadcasts celebrate China's remarkable progress, a narrative that feels like a cruel jest. She doesn't see herself in the victory story, only a life growing more precarious. Her struggle is shared by millions of ordinary citizens whose voices are silenced in the clamor of propaganda. These individuals, factory workers, single parents, struggling graduates, form the backbone of Chinese society, yet their hardships are erased, supplanted by tales of national grandeur. The technological and social reality stands in sharp opposition to the winning big rhetoric. The dream of tech dominance is stymied by dependency and corruption, while young people face unemployment and disillusionment. The rich flee with their fortunes, leaving ordinary citizens to shoulder the burden of a faltering system. This isn't a nation celebrating triumph, it's a society wrestling with existential challenges that no amount of sloganeering can obscure. The contrast between the polished image of progress and the gritty reality of daily survival is stark, leaving millions to wonder if the victory they're urged to embrace is anything more than a mirage. Truth twisted, and a plea for clarity. One of the most troubling indicators is the government's decision to halt the release of critical data. Youth unemployment rates, urban population movements, consumer confidence indices, and changes in savings deposits have vanished from public view. It's akin to a patient with a 41-degree fever hiding the thermometer and declaring themselves cured. The media plays a pivotal role in distorting reality, curating news to highlight achievements, high-speed rail networks, rising exports, ambitious tech projects, while burying issues like public debt, inequality, and job crises. Picture a resident of a small city tuning into news about export surges and feeling a swell of pride. But in his community, factories are shuttering, friends are jobless, and living costs are climbing. He's unaware that unemployment data has been suppressed, and the positive figures he hears are a curated slice of reality. This is how truth is warped, trapping people in a fabricated victory narrative. They're swept up in tales of grandeur, while systemic issues, from ballooning debt to widening inequality, are methodically concealed, their existence denied by a media machine that prioritizes image over substance. The most vocal proponents of China has won big are often patriotic influencers and social media marketing accounts. They appear in videos draped in national flags with sensational titles like "America Collapses" or "Huawei Crushes Apple," designed to inflame emotions. These figures aren't concerned with whether their audience has stable jobs or can pay debts. Their goal is views, donations, and advertising revenue. This isn't patriotism, it's a calculated exploitation of emotions, sidelining the real struggles of citizens, from unpaid workers in Ningxia to Xinjiang farmers at the mercy of unpredictable harvests. Imagine an influencer with millions of followers, raking in hundreds of thousands of RMB monthly from patriotic videos. From a lavish Beijing apartment, he waxes poetic about China's might, but he never mentions the workers owed back wages, the graduates languishing without jobs, or the families selling homes to cover medical debts. His content fuels an emotional economy where national pride is commodity. He profits not only from views but also from promoting patriotic products. Huawei phones, traditional Chinese foods, while ordinary citizens grapple with daily survival. His videos are slick, his rhetoric polished, but they offer no solace to those whose lives contradict the triumphant narrative he sells. Despite these challenges, China's achievements are undeniable. Its high-speed rail network is the world's largest, its artificial intelligence sector is advancing rapidly, and its role in global supply chains remains critical. Companies like Huawei and BYD have carved out international reputations, and cities like Shenzhen and Shanghai pulse with innovation. Yet, these successes cannot eclipse the obstacles. The semiconductor industry leans heavily on foreign technology. Youth unemployment threatens long-term stability, and economic inequality is widening at an alarming rate. Consider a BYD engineer, proud of his company's leadership in electric vehicles, but he knows colleagues toil for meager wages and relentless competition demands grueling overtime. While BYD is celebrated in headlines, workers like him don't feel they've won big. Their reality? Low pay, high pressure, uncertain futures. Clashes with the national narrative of triumph. These workers are integral to China's victory story, yet they reap few of its rewards, their contributions overshadowed by the glossy image of corporate success. The central question remains, who reaps the benefits of China's victory? Not the farmers in Xinjiang, the workers in Ningxia, or the urban youth drowning in debt and joblessness. The true winners are state-owned conglomerates, the affluent elite, and those who control the flow of information. Ordinary citizens, urged to swell with pride over victory, bear the heaviest burden. They endure financial hardship, job losses, and a life growing ever more precarious, while the wealthy can effortlessly relocate their fortunes abroad, seeking greener pastures. In a world where information is tightly controlled and emotions are manipulated, clarity is the most valuable currency. When you hear China has won big, pause and reflect. Who's winning? Is it you, with a dwindling bank account, or those behind the screen, profiting from your patriotism? Numbers don't lie, but they can be buried. Dreams can't sustain you, but they can dull the sting of hunger. In an age of dazzling slogans, choose to anchor yourself in truth, no matter how harsh. China stands at a crossroads, a global economic powerhouse on one path, a society riddled with instability on the other. To genuinely win big, it must confront these challenges head-on, from economic reforms to creating opportunities for its youth. Only then will victory transcend rhetoric, becoming a tangible reality felt by every citizen. Stay vigilant, seek the truth, and ask yourself, in the China has won big saga, where do you stand? Are you a participant in the triumph or merely a spectator, ensnared in an emotional spectacle?
More and more Chinese people are waking up. Netizens answered the question, if war comes, would you go to the battlefield, as follows. Houses are temporary, land belongs to the state, factories belong to the bosses. You need tickets to enter temples, you pay to see scenic spots, and you must renew those tickets to continue. Give me one reason why I should risk my life defending someone else's property? First, who are our own people? Who is our own? Do these our own people make money for you to spend? Do our own people buy overseas villas for you to live in? Our own people tell you their domestic cars are way ahead, but they themselves never drive them. They drive Maybachs or Ferraris. Second, what is a brand? A brand is a car that stands behind its quality and the safety of its consumers. I don't need a car with a fridge, a sofa, or a big TV inside. Safety is the greatest luxury. Third, I earn every cent by hard work. I'll buy whichever car I want. I reject any moral coercion. That is every consumer's right and freedom. All I can pay for is cost performance. I cannot pay for sentimentalism. The lives of my family are more important than anything. Fourth, morality is a standard for oneself, not a tool to force on others. You go to hospitals choosing imported equipment and medicines, yet you demand I choose a domestic car? You're a joke. 100 clear-eyed Chinese deserve our admiration. Mainland media report that Gao Zhikai responded boldly to foreign media questions. We don't care about losing the U.S. market. China has existed for 5,000 years, and for most of that time the U.S. did not exist. Netizens replied, you may not care, but we do. We need to eat and live. If we stop working for a day, we have no food. No work means no money. If I were lucky like you, I wouldn't care either, so have some shame, please. One user shared, in Australia, I drove from Adelaide to Melbourne over 800 kilometers without paying a single toll. I didn't even see a toll booth. Unbelievable. Fuel isn't expensive either, 56 Australian dollars for nearly a full tank, less than 300 yuan. Even public roads are so cheap. I can't handle it. Australia is amazing. Do you know China National Petroleum has gas stations abroad? In Kazakhstan, we saw over a dozen CNPC stations. There, 95-octane gasoline is 250 tenge and 92-octane is 205 tenge, just over 3 yuan per liter. Isn't that cheap? CNPC, please explain why abroad your fuel is 3 yuan per liter but over 8 yuan per liter in China. Doesn't transportation or refining cost anything? If foreigners exploit us, I have no complaint, but you exploiting us too? I dare say. As long as Chinese don't cheat each other, no one in the world can cheat us. People say shouting "down with America" equals patriotism. But is insulting someone else's mother loving your own mother? Today let's discuss what true patriotism means. Real patriotism loves all people and things on this land and works to improve everyone's welfare, income, and happiness. Soldiers fighting at the front are patriots. Acts of courage and charity are patriotism. Buying vegetables from an elderly farmer so he can go home early is patriotism. Conversely, if you don't dare to call out a thief, help a fainting elder, or notice your fellow citizen suffering, yet you shout to crush Japan or defeat American imperialism, isn't that ironic? 99% of harm comes from our own people. Fellow citizens deceive, harm, and attack each other. Even if the world were united, we'd be a scattered heap. Such a country has no fighting spirit. Worse, there are traitors who have directly betrayed the nation and its people for personal gain, twisting minds, undermining education and law, exploiting citizens like crops, while enjoying modern civilization's freedom. Parroting anti-American slogans is work. Loving America is lifestyle. Opposing America is work. Moving to America is life. Yelling, "No regrets being born Chinese, then immigrating to California," those are the real traitors and enemies of the people. Stop moral blackmail. If you want an electric car, buy Tesla. If a gasoline car, buy Toyota. If a phone, use iPhone. We buy them because they're durable. Apple employs countless Chinese workers. Tesla pays China's auto workers the industry's highest wages. Without these foreign firms driving competition, could domestic cars ever lower prices? Yet some bosses live in mansions, drive imported Maybachs, and shout "we lead the pack," misleading ordinary people. We drive a Corolla for daily use and get labeled traitors. Have you spent a night in their villas or driven their luxury cars? Saving money is hard. Quality sells itself. When domestic brands truly surpass foreign ones on quality and price, people will buy them without slogans. Keep criticizing, hurl insults at Tesla, Toyota, Apple. Don't be foolish. One day, if we truly expel all joint venture brands, our electric bikes will sell for 1,000,000 yuan. Do you believe it? Domestic products prices would double. You couldn't even afford bottled water. The best ordinary consumers can buy? iPhone for phones. Apple leads technology. Toyota for gasoline cars, most durable. Electric cars. Tesla, highest safety standards. If Tesla is too expensive, buy used. If that's still too much, stick to gasoline cars. For quality groceries, shop at Sam's Club. It's the safest, most hygienic option for ordinary people, albeit a bit pricier. Remember, money spent should make you comfortable, not please others. Finally, have you seen scenic spots losing huge sums, yet charging admission? The Great Wall wasn't built by them. Mount Tai wasn't built by them. Geozygo's peaks aren't theirs. Charging fees to enclose our natural wonders with zero cost should be a cash cow. How do they lose money? In 5 years, Geozygo's scenic area lost 1.348 billion yuan. Who stole the money? Western hostile forces? The CCP's two main tricks: pretend to represent you and force you to treat them as kin, then blame all problems on American imperialism or Japanese devils. The US-China trade war gave them another chance to shift blame. But people aren't so easily fooled today. Recently, many Chinese consumers have openly expressed their disappointment with made-in-China products, which were once held in high regard. From smartphones to domestic cars, numerous voices claim that these items often turn out to be of poor quality compared to foreign brands. Below is an unfiltered account from a customer who endured countless issues with a Huawei phone, vividly illustrating the frustration of having one's trust betrayed. Recently, this is the worst phone I've ever used. 2 days after getting it, many features don't work. Right after the Lunar New Year, I bought this Huawei X6 for 20,000 yuan, about $2,740, at the exchange rate of 1 yuan to $0.137. It was a new model with a sleek design, so I bought it. After selling my old phone for 11,700 yuan, or $1,603.9, I used this X6 for 2 months, but that very day I got it, it wouldn't work. I demanded a return or fix, but they said if I returned it, they'd treat it as second-hand and charge me 2,000 yuan, or $274 as compensation. In one day, my old phone's trade-in cost me 10,000 yuan, or $1,370, and this one added another $274 in fees. I'm a loyal Huawei customer, always supporting their new releases, but now many apps don't work. TikTok won't let me change content, stuck all day. My daily work requires WeChat enterprise approvals, but it won't open, and even exiting doesn't help. The key issue isn't that I dislike it, I love this phone, but it's unusable. At the very least, it should function normally, but now it's completely broken. I hope there's a fix. I'm not alone. Surely others who bought this model early face the same issues. Huawei owes consumers an explanation. I'll never buy another Huawei product again. On my old phone, I had many photos. Today I wanted to share a family picture on WeChat, but the phone said I had to download it first. When I tried, it showed download failed. Afraid to proceed, I called Huawei support. They guided me remotely to open the cloud and check the album, but all my photos were gone. They spent over 30 minutes trying every method in their manual, checking everything, and then said the photos were lost. I checked again, and my entire 2019 album from my university days was empty. Photos from military training, my parents seeing me off to school, all gone, along with many others. I'm at a loss. They just said, "We didn't delete your photos." I replied, "Did I delete them myself? You guided me, saw every step I took, and I followed your instructions exactly. Then the photos disappeared. Done with Huawei forever. My time and memories are gone. If I hadn't called them, those photos would still be on my phone. But Huawei stole them like thieves, robbing me of my memories." Years ago, I used another Huawei phone. One day while eating downstairs, I left it charging upstairs and it shut off, restarted, and lost all my photos. I called support and they told me to bring it to a store for a hardware check. They found no issues, but the photos were gone. This time, I lost only some photos, like all of 2019 and family pictures from 2020. Should I be grateful? Just because I lost less this time, I'm done with Huawei, they're thieves. The Huawei X6, used for just over a month, has a loose screen, and they refuse to cover it under warranty, demanding I pay 3,699 yuan or $506.76 to replace it. My Huawei Mate X6 Star, bought for 3,000 yuan or $411 above the base price, lasted 4 months without any dropped. Yet the screen edge came loose. Today I just want to vent about Huawei phones. In July this year, I bought a Huawei P50 Pocket for 10,000 yuan, or $1,370. After buying, I learned it only supports 4G, not 5G. It needs charging at least 3 times daily. Each charge takes ages, and the back gets scorching hot afterward. The phone freezes, the screen goes black, and it sometimes restarts on its own. I ignored these small issues because I spent $1,370. But recently the front camera failed, photos are blurry, unable to focus. I took it for repair, and they said the camera module was faulty, but replacing it didn't fix the blur. A technician claimed it might be the screen, noticing a tiny black spot, and said it needed restoration. After restoring, they refused a free screen replacement, claiming a scratch over 1 millimeter counts as user damage, outside warranty, so I'd have to pay. I want to ask, I've always supported Huawei, spent $1,370, and this is the service I get? After less than 3 months, they tell me to pay for a new screen. I can't even sell my old phone now. The Arts model, the market's biggest, has a hoarse speaker, add mic and speaker issues, calls are unclear, speakers crackle. The Huawei P70 Pro, used for over a month, is a regret. terrible photos, awful night video. On January 27, 2025, my Huawei Pocket, not yet a year old, started having a loose screen 2 months ago, and for the last 4 days it shuts off randomly, 7 or 8 times a day. Now won't turn on. I want to smash it. Used phones worth hundreds, thousands, and over 10,000 yuan. This is the worst, most garbage phone ever. I told CEO Jie, why is my phone like this? Playing games, it runs hotter than a boiled sweet potato, lags and shuts off. This is leading technology, surpassing the iPhone 60 Pro. Who can stand this? Huawei brags about leading tech, but it's all broken. I love China, but won't use shoddy products. Huawei's junk. Their after-sales is junk. They promise insurance and promotions, but you get nothing. The P50 Pocket screen develops a growing crease during normal use, and Huawei claims it's outside warranty, demanding I pay for a replacement. I replaced the screen twice and it's still broken. If the screen's bad, just give me a new phone. I bought a Huawei Mate 70 Pro Plus, but the official Huawei charging cable doesn't work. Left charging all day, it claims to deliver 100 watts at top speed, yet stays at 39% battery. They boast leading fast charging, but it's awful. I advise against buying this pricey model as your main phone. A Huawei Toki 2 has a broken screen with no replacement parts available outside their service. The outer details are intact, but the inner screen is shattered. After replacing it, it broke again in a month, costing 2,000 yuan or $274 to fix. This phone feels like a decorative vase. Fussy and expensive. If you're planning to buy a dual-fold smartphone in 2025, think twice. High maintenance costs, fragile screens, not worth it as a primary device. Finally, I understand why people say, I see Huawei as local, but Huawei sees me as a fool. On May 3, at 1700 hours, I took my Mate X3 to Huawei Service Day for a free screen protector. Normally, applying or removing protectors is gentle, but that day, perhaps rushing to close, the staff applied it sloppily. 2 hours later, the screen showed a crack. They claimed it was light reflecting off the protector, not a broken screen. I believed them and took it home. That night, the crack worsened. The inner screen had exploded glass. I'd praised Huawei's after-sales for free candy and water, but when money was involved, they dodged responsibility, claiming I dropped it. Unrelated to the protector application. They said, user or not, I'd pay repair costs equivalent to a month's salary. Truly, Huawei never hurts the rich, only the poor. The bitterest laugh was the next day when the staff who applied the protector called, saying he'd quit and I should complain to the store, as his responsibility was over. He fled and I bore the loss. That's when I realized my helplessness. I can't be completely indifferent, but what can I do? I'll just treat it as paying to be rid of the hassle.